Hello class, this is a video to help you understand how to multiply positive and negative numbers. And there's a couple hints here that I'm going to give you on this first screen. And then we're going to look at some examples. So we're first today just going to deal with positive and negative numbers. So what happens when I multiply a positive times a negative number? And what happens when I multiply a negative times a positive number? And you notice that the colors are different. I did that on purpose because those signs are different. So if I multiply a positive number times a negative number, I will get a negative answer. If I multiply a negative number times a positive number, again, I will get a negative answer. So it doesn't matter which order they're in. If it's positive times a negative number, and then the reverse, a negative times a positive number, as long as they're different, they give me a negative answer. So in other words, different signs equal negative answers. So positive times negative equals a negative answer. A negative times a positive equals a negative answer. Okay, so different signs equal negative answers. So let me show you just a couple examples of what you'll be doing here. For example, positive times a negative. So here's a couple problems. Just going to go through a couple of these. So I have these grouped A through L. I'm certainly not going to do all these because you won't need them. But let's just take a look at the first row here, and then I think you'll get the gist of it. Okay, so we're going to look at those problems here. All right, so imagine that I wanted to multiply 9 times a negative 5. So that's a positive 9 times a negative 5. 9 times negative 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Since it's a positive times a negative, my answer would be negative 45. Again, different signs. A positive times a negative equals a negative answer. Positive 9 times negative 8. A positive times a negative. So I know my answer is going to be negative. Then I just have to multiply 9 times 8, which is 72. And then I'm multiplying positive 5 times negative 1. A positive times a negative, different signs. My answer is going to be negative. 5 times 1 is 5. So my answer, positive 5 times negative 1, yields an answer of negative 5. And then last example for here, positive 9 times negative 4. Again, different signs, a positive times a negative. So I know my answer is going to be negative. 9 times 4, that's 36. So my answer, though, is negative 36. You have to make sure you include the sign when you're doing these. It's very important. So positive times a negative gives a negative answer. Okay, so they're not going to do all of these problems for you. You don't need them. But let's imagine that we had negative times positive. Again, different signs. So let's take a look at a couple here. We'll look at the top line again. Okay, I have negative 5 times 8. Negative times a positive. Different signs gives me a negative answer. What's 5 times 8? That's 40. Okay, very easy. Negative 5 times 8 equals negative 40. Different signs equals a negative answer. Negative 7 times 4, different signs. A negative times a positive, so the answer will be negative, correct? 7 times 4 is 28. So the answer, negative 7 times 4 equals negative 28. Problem C, negative 9 times positive 6, negative 9 times 6, negative times a positive, different signs, the answer is negative. 9 times 6 is 54. Okay, so your answer, negative 9 times positive 6, negative 9 times 6 is negative 54. Last example, negative 9 times positive 9, negative 9 times 9. The answer is going to be negative because the signs are different. A negative times a positive. 9 times 9 is 81. Okay, so negative 9 times positive 9 is negative 81. So that's basically it for it. It's a very easy concept to understand as long as you remember. Different signs equal negative answer. A positive times a negative gives you a negative answer. A negative times a positive gives you a negative answer. So hopefully that video was helpful and helpful for what you have to do today in class.